Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fan Experience. We are on episode 8. For those of you just joining in for the first time, the Fan Experience is a podcast for sports fans to get under the spotlight and behind the podium. Have you ever tried to call into a sports talk radio show, talk about your favorite team? Well, we're going to give you the opportunity to do that and much more. We're going to dive deep into when you became a fan, why you became a fan, and those iconic moments that you experienced at the games or watching with loved ones or friends. Uh, I am your host, Mike Katos. Alongside me is my co-host, Rick Molina. Rick, how you doing?
Doing well, Mike. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. It's been a great week. What are we, about 3-4 weeks into sports being back? So, things are starting to look back to normal to a point. But
As normal as they could be.
Yeah, exactly. So just briefly, the producers of this podcast, as always, is Playing the Field. Playing the Field is a sports fan community, gives sports fans an outlet to find other sports fans that share in similar passions for their favorite sports, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, tennis, UFC, you name it. As if you're interested in it, there's other people that are out there that are interested in it as well, and you can connect with them to find friends, find people to go to the games with when that is a possibility. To recruit for your pickup basketball games, pickup softball games, flag football games, what have you. And you could also use it to find a romantic partner and find your MVP. The web app for the dating aspect is available now, playthefielddating.com. Sign up with promo code Fan Experience so we know that you came from our podcast, and you will get extra access when the app comes out of beta. All right, so we're gonna kick off the show, pretty much picking up right where we left off Tuesday night. We were talking about college football and how the Big Ten and the Pac-12 canceled / postponed their season. And towards the end of the show, we were checking in on the Big 12, SEC, and the ACC, and there was no words as of yet. But now we know that they are proceeding as planned, and they will be doing a round robin type of schedule. So yeah, those three conferences are going to be playing. The other ones will not be. And Rick, what's your thoughts?
Well, like we spoke on Tuesday, but I think this has become more like a geographical and somewhat political. I think, especially the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 are they're in the South and sort of the West, and they're sort of going, going ahead with the seasons. Most of the country is just playing, is deciding not to play. But again, I just think that the one main concern is for the players, their safety and their health, and the health of the students around them. And the prudent thing to do, and we spoke about this on Tuesday, is cancel the season, wait till there's a vaccine, or even play spring ball when the conditions are right for these young kids to play sports. And regardless of how much money they're going to lose, regardless of how much advertising they're going to lose, it's the right thing to do. These leagues are going to go forward. There's not going to be a championship crowned in 2020. The NCAA just came out today and announced that they're not going to have any, champions crowned. So I just think that, it's a wait and see. But this has become political. It's become geographical. It's just become sort of a hot potato. And I think some of these, especially the SEC and the ACC, it's almost they want to show you that we can get it done. And there are not going to be issues. But when the first kid gets sick, God forbid, or something happens, then what's the response? Because there's going to be a tremendous outcry. There's going to be a tremendous backlash against these leagues if something happens to one of these kids, and God forbid that does happen. But listen, they're going to move forward. They're full steam ahead. For the players, within those conferences, I guess you can say good for them because they're going to be able to show off their skills, especially for the 2021 NFL draft. And for the rest of the guys who aren't able to play, at least they'll be healthy and safe. But it's just going to be, it's just kind of like hold your breath and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, once the other conferences canceled it, I think they should have definitely followed suit and just been unanimous in the decision to just scrap college football for the fall, and then, like they said, try again in the spring. You don't think that would happen, but
No, I don't think it's going to happen.
will. That would be remain to be seen. But yeah, they. I do feel as if if they can keep everybody on campus and just try to contain things that way, kind of like what NBA and NHL are doing. They have the bubble, but I feel like college is sort of a built-in bubble because everyone lives on campus. At least 90% of them, I would
Right.
imagine. So it's at least that they have that going for them, but still, it's still a huge risk. So they should have just scrapped the whole thing. But we'll see how this plays out. And do we know if they're not going to have fans or?
I haven't read any that they're going to have fans. I can't imagine that they're going to put fans in these seats with these kids playing. And the other thing is, let's say you try to do a bubble. I mean, you got 18, 19-year-old kids, man.
Well,
I mean, how are you going to put these, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who are in college, who are, just starting their lives? You're going to put them in a bubble and tell them you can't go do this, you can't go do that. I mean, what kid's going to obey that, So it's just not the prudent thing to do. But listen, there's a lot of money on the line, a lot of advertising dollars, and these coaches want to coach and these players want to play. And so they're just going to go through with it, But it doesn't matter what we say. They're going to play, and hopefully they can get through the season healthy and safe.
Yeah, let's hope for that. But let's move on to another bubble situation. So we've talked since this show started about the NBA bubble and how it's working, and no COVID tests in over a month now. Things are going great. Unfortunately, the ratings for the NBA are down due to this bubble, but they're playing, and a lot of people are loving the fact that basketball is back. But now, a couple of days ago, they announced that for the playoffs, they're going to open up the bubble to immediate family members. And, they're just going to, increase the bubble just by a little bit and keep it contained to just pretty much wives and kids. But I don't see how this is. I understand that you want your family around. I get that. Absolutely. But there's too much risk involved in this. And I don't see how this is going to end up well.
Well, look, the question that I have, are they going to test the family members? I mean,
every day.
Every day they're going to test them.
I think they have to do a couple of days worth of tests before they can
get in.
Actually let them in.
Okay.
But there was I heard them saying something on the radio. There was some team that was getting tested.
Yeah.
For a few days, and then turned out nobody had it, and then the next thing you knew, 6 people had it. So I mean, you see it with the Marlins, you've seen it with the Cardinals. Now it's just, if that one person gets it, it gets past them, then it's pretty much it's chaos, and it's I just really don't think it's smart. And with the technology that we have, I get it. Obviously it's not the same being on FaceTime and things like that, but the technology is making it a little bit more bearable than if this were to be happening 20 years ago.
Oh, 100%.
So at least there are options there. But of course, you want your family members close, and I get that. But it's just one more month, and you're home free. But that's not what they decided to do.
No, well, listen. At this point, it's clear that the bubble has worked, right? They've been able to keep these players secluded in the bubble. They've tested them every day. They've behaved. They've kept social distancing and protocols. Now, with the family involved, it adds a variable. If the families can come in and abide by the rules and be safe and stay safe and stay healthy, which I think they will for the most part, I just don't see them just being able to ruin the season that way. I think they're going to be okay, because right now the NBA bubble is probably the safest bubble to be in the country. I mean, let's face it, there's no COVID outbreaks. There's been no problems. So that might be the safest place in sport in all of the country and all of sports to be in. If they can maintain that status quo, I think they'll be okay. They'll be able to finish the playoffs and finish the season and crown a champion would be a good thing. So listen, if they want to let the family members in and the testing works out well and they follow the rules, I think this should be fine.
Hey, what's the old saying? If it ain't
they broke,
don't
fix it. Yeah.
So, but on the topic of fixing things, our next guest is Max Montrey from Sportstrace, and he is doing just that. He has a technology that will help athletes fix their approach and fix their mechanics to get them to play better. So, Max, how are you?
Experience. I'm doing good. Mike, Rick, how y'all doing?
Doing well, Max. How you doing, man?
Doing great, Max.
Everything's good here. It's summer in Seattle, so we get a couple months without any rain. It's kind of nice.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. So you mentioned that you're in Seattle right now, but
yeah,
you're born and raised out by us. So you were born and raised in New Jersey.
That's right.
And you grew up a Yankee fan.
I did.
Like my boy Rick over here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was tough, right? Because I was in central New Jersey, so you get that choice. That was way back in the day of broadcast television where we could still get the Phillies stations. So like my grandmother down in Trenton, she was a Phillies fan, right? So she didn't like the fact that we liked the Yankees at all. But I grew up there. And I remember like my first games at Yankee Stadium. I remember coming back to New York after college, after going to the West Coast for a while, getting seats in the bleachers. Like that was awesome. That was during the dynasty, right? So it was kind of an amazing time to be around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of that dynasty, I just have to touch on that because I love this story. So 2001, you went to a game. And you sat next to somebody that's, pretty famous. So who was that?
Yeah, so me and my brother, we get to go to the playoffs, 2001. Now that obviously it was a very difficult time in this country's history. And, baseball is kind of bringing us all back together, right? And we get to go, I believe it was game 5, if memory serves me correctly. And the Mariners, the world-beating Mariners that year. They won more games than anybody else. We go on top, and my brother and I are there. The game starts going. Old Yankee Stadium, it's rocking, right? It's the loudest place on earth. And who's sitting next to me but Flavor Flav? Now, this is like pre-Flavor of Love Flavor Flav, right? This is he's got the clock on and everything. Is awesome, right? And he's going around, coolest guy probably on earth, right? He's going, shaking everybody's hand, taking pictures and everything, right? So we all know how that game ends, right? David Justice hits that bomb. Yankees go on to the World Series. It was an unfortunate World Series. I don't want to talk about that right now. I want to talk about that home run. Because after David Justice hits that home run, as he is rounding the bases, Flavor Flav just turns to me and goes, "Yeah, boy!" It's the coolest moment of all time. Like, I'm like, oh my God. So it was pretty amazing.
Man, that
certainly sounds it.
That's a great story, man. And then you moved out to the West Coast, and you say you have an affinity for the Padres and Tony Gwynn. So how did they catch your attention when you were living in San Diego?
Well, I had to get my baseball fix, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was so far away from home. I literally went out there pretty much by myself, right? And I'm there. It was after I went to Syracuse University, which, it's feet of snow. I said I was going to stay for 3 months. I stayed for 3 years. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to play baseball. I'm going to watch baseball. So being able to go out there at the time, right, it had just become Qualcomm Stadium from the old Jack Murphy,
right?
Which that isn't even there anymore. I remember they were still voting on the new stadium that's downtown, which I think is Petco now, right?
Yep, Petco Field.
So being able to go there and see, I'm like, all right, this is all right. I could go see some games here. LA's really far away. San Diego's right here. I literally live in the city. And just to have the opportunity to be able to see like a Hall of Famer like Tony Gwynn perform day in and day out, that was actually a great time for them too. I actually got to go to the World Series in '98 when they played the Yankees. Of course, the Yankees won that one, but hey, It was awesome.
That's cool. Now your affinity for baseball, was this what led you to begin Sportstrace? I mean, how did you, because you worked at Microsoft, how did you all of a sudden decide this is where I want to where I want to go, where I want to start something in the sports industry? Was this how it started?
It was. So I was working at Microsoft. I worked for the e-commerce store, and we were a pretty small operation. So I knew every product that went out on our site, and they'd introduced this thing when I'd started there. It's called the Kinect. And I don't play Xbox. It's just not my thing, right? So I had no idea what this was. They're selling this camera. I'm like, great. Fast forward a couple of years later, they say, hey, we're going to introduce it so you could develop software on your PC with this thing. I took a couple of days off work. I went out, I bought one of these things, and I don't know where this inspiration came from, but I just developed this application in 2 days.
Wow.
So at the time, I had this thing. I didn't know what to do with it, but I was really just kind of curious, like, well, what does my swing look like? What do I not know about what's going on, right? Because I still play baseball to this day, right? I'm still watching baseball to this day, and I'm just curious. Go forward to like about a year ago, right? And we start getting pinged about, hey, what's this company? Sports tech is pretty hot. I'm an investor. I'm an accelerator. What's going on? We start answering those questions, and we say to ourselves, well, now I got a co-founder. He's out here in Seattle, Alex Gardner, right? I've known him his entire life. And we say, what would really make market validation for us? So we go out, we get a pilot customer, and we say, look, Microsoft's been a great place to work, but to be true to what we're doing, we really want to focus 100% on Sportstrace right now. And that's been the story of 2020 for us.
That's an incredible story.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's obviously we've chatted before about it, but yeah, it's great. Now, so you mentioned the swing, but it also helps, for pitchers and fielders. And how about other sports?
Yeah. So we started in baseball, right? Obviously, it started as a passion project, but it continued through that market validation and the verification that it would actually work. So baseball for us is a good sport to start in because it's got some very isolated scenarios that we can focus on. We want to move within the next year into golf and tennis, and then we want to get into the territorial sports, right? Eventually getting into soccer. What can we provide there in terms of performance benchmarks? We want to be able to get into football, hockey. We want to be able to get into basketball. We just want to be able to make sure we can get it and lock it in before we roll out too wide and make sure that we can scale effectively. And we've gotten feelers out there. Folks have approached us about cricket. I love that idea because it can work directly with the swing, and it's huge in the rest of the world. We just got to make sure that we can get out there to support it. We've been approached from sports broadcasters in terms of how can we provide fan engagement visualizations that are really help to draw the viewers in. The use case in that particular area was, hey, I'm a broadcaster. I want to broadcast for the Olympics where the fans only show up once every 4 years. How do you keep them captivated and help them to understand what everybody's doing on the field when you only see them every so often?
Yeah. So obviously, without giving away any trade secrets, so it videotapes you, and then it analyzes it and bases it on what? Are you bringing in videotapes from professional baseball players? And it, obviously it's some type of AI, but where are you getting the data as to what they need to fix in their swing that will prove to improve them as a player?
Sure. So the way that it starts, right, and this is what we like to say, is use your phone and we do the rest. You don't necessarily need to be taping live, right? It could be footage that you have of an in-game scenario. It could be something from your training regiment. You upload that video to our cloud services, and Mike, you were exactly right. Our AI takes over. We recognize the sport. We recognize the activity in that sport, say baseball hitting, and we recognize the body in 3D. From there, we're able to take measurements over time, which we can understand the consistency of the athlete. And then we can marry that to other data sources in terms of what was the outcome-based data around this. Was that a hit? Was it a ground ball to short? We can find that out pretty quick. So being able to say how you accomplished what you did is of great value in terms of, from the player development perspective, the scouting perspective, the recruiting perspective. And we've gotten those results after that in terms of, what makes sense for an athlete. How do they change? How do you get better at what you're doing? What products will help? What drills will help with that inconsistency by working with our partners and doing our research.
Interesting. So your partners, they're other coaches, managers, training assistants, trainers. Tell us some about how you collaborate with your partners in this endeavor.
Well, hustle. I mean, what was my first phone call every day this week at 6 a.m. And I got a couple calls after this too. So it's all about just networking and communication and being open to listen to, what people are working on, see what value I can provide to them. And so that we can, in return, get value from other folks too. I mean, it's a good trade-off. We've had the opportunity to work with great teams, coaches, training facilities, industry experts, and more. So that's been an amazing ride. Everybody's been incredibly forthcoming with their knowledge and their time. Like, we can't thank them enough.
Now, how do athletes find you? I mean, do they go to the site? Is it through networking? Like, how do they reach out to you and say, listen, I got a hitch in my swing, or I want to work on something in my mechanics? How do they go about getting in contact with you?
Well, I mean, definitely go right to the site. You can sign up. You contact us right there. Hit us up on social. We've actually got reached out to recently. We did for opening day of baseball. We did a little campaign. We started showing a couple videos of what we could do. We downloaded a couple videos of some people you might know, like Juan Soto or Aaron Judge. And we said, here's their swing. Look what we could do for you. And it caught the attention of some folks. Like, we got a great response from it, unprompted and not reaching out, like non-promoted posts. People were actually emailing us. I've actually still got calls reached out for that. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, Juan Soto just hit a bomb last night that's still going. So you guys did a hell of a job.
I tweeted about that one right after. I was like, moonshot, bam.
Yeah, so I posted the site right there on the bottom of the screen, sportstrace.com. So if you want more info on it, please go and visit. So do me a favor, don't ever bring your AI around the Mets hitters. You'll go out of business real quick. You don't want to.
There's nowhere to go but up, right?
That's right.
No, you have to give it to the hitting department and the hitting coaches over there. Yeah. But don't be taping their approach.
Totally.
Other than Alonso, but he still needs to break out of it a little bit. So I also saw that back in the day you actually coached women's basketball.
No, it was softball. So I had the opportunity one year when I was up in Syracuse, of all places, dodging snowflakes 7 or 8 months a year. I was asked by some friends. They wanted to actually restart a program that they had up there. It was in the early days of bringing back Title IX, their softball team. And I will say it is the honor for me to have been able to be the coach of that team for 1 year. We got to play pretty locally up there in the upstate and central New York area. So we travel out to Rochester and stuff, and we'd be able to practice wherever we could. There were a lot of indoor practices and a lot of turf practices, but there's a great group of athletes, to be honest. Like just a ton of commitment, and you have to have that desire when you're kind of restarting an entire program, right? So I was just fortunate to be around for it.
Awesome. And well, obviously you mentioned that you put this app together in 2 days. You worked at Microsoft, so you know your way around computer coding and things like that. So the story that I really loved on that you said was you played fantasy baseball one year.
Yeah.
And you didn't really have the time to sit there and mind you, I played fantasy baseball once and that was it, because you have to be on that every single day. So I get it.
Oh yeah.
But you did something ingenious, and what was the outcome? And talk us through it.
So some people would say ingenious, some people would say stupid, right? So my friends from college, right? We got together this is years ago. This is like pretty close to right after college. We started playing fantasy baseball, and that's been going on every year. And my brother and I are in this league. And boy, I wouldn't say that, I don't care about it. I'm just lazy. Like, I don't want to go in there and change the team every day. But that's the best way to be connected to my friends, right? So I'm absolutely going to stay in this league. And it was somewhere along the line, some people started getting grousy about it. Like, they were pretty serious, right? They're telling me, we should get some of the teams out of the league, right? I'm like, where you move, you're so passive aggressive. Call me out and tell me that I got to get out of here, right? They're like, no, it'll be good, whatever. I said, fine. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix this. So my brother and I got together, and he doesn't write a ton of code, but he was like, what if we could do this automatically? I'm like, done. So to be lazy, and this is the stupidest part of it, to be lazy, I write like 30,000 lines of code so that I automate this team, right? And that meant every single night it would optimize the team lineup. It would put the people in the right spots, pitchers, rotations, and everything, the whole streaming package. It would text me when players were hurt. It was like, hey, this person's not playing. It was like I was going above and beyond for nothing, for what? Like glory stats, right? We fast forward to, this is actually just a couple years ago. And, it's around September. And I get a text from one of my friends. And he's like, hey, man, what is going on? And I thought something terrible was happening, right? I'm like, what? Is everything all right with your family? Is everything cool? He's like, no, dude, you are beating me in the championships of the fantasy baseball league. And I had no idea because I just don't even pay attention. So the robots were absolutely winning. And I ended up winning that season. So there you go.
Look at that, man. And now what is this? Now you're an avid baseball fan. Like, you love baseball. Yeah. But you happen to fall asleep almost any time you watch a game and wake up in the fifth inning?
It is like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I get so relaxed because it's like the very little downtime that I have in my life and in my day. And it's like the second it comes on, I'm taken back to like childhood. And I swear, like second batter of the game, if I'm just there, it's like, boom, out. And I just wake up, I'm like, what happened? So yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's true.
Yeah, that's great. Now I wanted to get back to Sportstrace real quick because, like athletes, they're very routine, like they're accustomed to like professional trainers, guys who like have been in the game before. Do you find it challenging for yourself that like it's like you haven't really been in the game before or played on that kind of level? Do you find it challenging sometimes from professional athletes to accept you and your critiques and your recommendations about as far as changing, let's just say, the swings or the mechanics?
Yes and no, Rick. It's interesting because on the one hand, right, you got folks that I would say that anybody has somewhat of a resistance to change, but yes, everybody has that desire to get better. And I think that once you get past that, that's helpful in terms of, validating the types of responses. Again, I mean, we like to say that the proof is in the results. So you can see whether you're getting better and more consistent or not. The one thing we can't make you do is practice. The one thing we can't make you do is any drills or any recommendations that we provide to really enact them in your routine. But that said, right, we can say, hey, if you're going to see two coaches look at the same problem in different ways, right? We've already heard that. And that's great. Like, bring it on. Let's try some different things and see what works for the athlete. Good news. We can track that too. If you're doing these things, we can say, well, you're getting better or you're not. And while we've run into, the pushback, what we like to say also is that, look, this solution, this doesn't replace coaches. Far from it. How could you ever? I mean, coaches in my personal life and my coaching experience, some of the most formative times that I have. We want to say, how do we help coaches scale? How do we help athletes that don't necessarily have access to all the resources? So in that way, we're really just trying to be a good supplement and complement to what's already going on.
It's awesome.
Awesome. So, so you played fantasy baseball that 1 year. Did you ever sign back up, or they kicked you out after that one?
No, it's still going on this year. Still
okay.
Like, I'm still in it.
How about how are robots faring now?
Well, let's see. In the 60-game season, I changed up my strategy. I used to see the robots and play to their strengths, right? So I would stream pitchers hard. Like I would have nobody on the bench on offense, and I would just have a full pitching roster the entire time, just so that pitchers could be in there. I'm like, I might not get ERA and I might not get WHIP, but I'm gonna get Ks and wins, right? Like that's gonna happen when you have like 17 pitchers on your roster pitching every week. So it's good right now. Like everything's a-okay.
Hey, there's thousands of companies out there that die for these types of algorithms. It's you could do both. So talk to us about. So you said having a sports fan lifestyle and how it's pretty much impacted your life on how you look at things and attack things.
Oh yeah. So one, I've had the opportunity to be involved in incredible events, right? Like I said, 98 World Series, that was awesome. I actually went in 2003, going to 2001 playoffs. I was at the stadium behind home plate when I saw like Pedro strike out 18. I don't like to talk about that, but I did see a lot of jelly knees that night. And actually, even out here, I was actually at the last perfect game thrown in professional baseball. Felix Hernandez, 2012. So how that shapes me, like, those are moments of extreme joy. Like I share that with friends and family, the ability to be able to go and do that. Like I said, it's super relaxing, but the kind of experiences that you can have from that kind of bonding, right? Like right now, again, I'm far from home, right? Far from where I grew up. And although, Sportstrace, I have no affinity technically to any teams anymore, right? It's still nice to be able to see the Yankees on MLB TV.
That's incredible. Do you see yourself coming back to the East Coast? Once Sportstrace starts picking up and you start picking up a clientele, you see yourself maybe coming back to the East Coast one day?
Oh, always. I mean, I still got a house back there. My brother, he and I, well, he had originally bought the house that my old man grew up in, which is awesome. That's in central New Jersey. So then we picked it up later, which is cool. He still lives there with my nephew, his son. I'd love to, but actually we're on the move in a different way right now. So recently we just got some equity-free funding to help the economic climate of southeastern Missouri. So we'll actually be doing business out there, and in a couple of weeks, I'll be driving to Missouri from Seattle.
That's wonderful, man. Good for you. And let me ask you this: do you think, as sports evolves with technology, obviously with analytics, do you think they'll be incorporating sort of like, let's say like some of your data, like guys take pictures of their swings and they go back into a locker room or a video watching some of that, where they're hitches? Do you think they'll be incorporated that in-game sort of scenarios as time goes on?
Well, so they just recently changed some of the rules in terms of like what broadcasts are allowed in game. I think it might have had something to do with the Astros.
Yes.
I don't know. I heard something sounded like a banging garbage can, but anyway, yeah, I don't know how that's going to change. I know in all seriousness, it's curtailed. Like JD Martinez is actually like a real student of hitting, and he relies tremendously on video. And he used to do exactly what you're talking about, Rick. He used to go back in the tunnel, look at video. From what I've heard on the broadcast, that's actually been very difficult for him to do. So I would imagine that, if MLB can get to a point where they can more strictly regulate what kind of data is being thrown around, I would hope that would be a part of it. Yeah.
I definitely need to use. I definitely need to use it.
Yeah.
I play softball every Sunday morning, and it's either hit it right on the ground or hit it way up in the air. So it's something that I definitely need to fix in my swing, and I'm gonna be checking this out for sure.
Well, for sure, man. And I don't think I ever got as far out. Like Mike, you're farther out on the island. Like the closest I came when I played down in the Queens Alliance League, that was like Alley Pond Park and Cunningham, like the far reaches of Queens. We never quite got out onto Long Island, and we played a lot of games down in like Bay Ridge and Vita Locasio down to the airport. Like we were all over the place. But yeah, man, I'll bring it out next time I'm in town for sure.
And at the same time, is there any way you could do an algorithm for fantasy football? Because I've lost like the last 6 years, and Mike keeps winning. So is there any way you can do something like that?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't want to get between you two, though.
No.
That's kind of the deal. Like, come on.
Yeah, your
You gotta
robot
keep the
ain't
fan
beating me.
experience going here.
Your robot ain't beating me. No, it's not happening.
All right. Well, we could talk about that offline for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick's definitely gonna need it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, Max, I truly appreciate the time. You were a great guest and all great stuff. And we're gonna continue talking. And like we said on our first phone call, when you come out here, we're gonna go grab a drink. When obviously now when bars, are safe to attend again and all that. So
I'll be joining.
Hey, please do. I got a couple old haunts that are still there left on the Lower East Side before when I moved out here. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Everybody out there, thanks for watching. Watch Fan Experience. This is awesome. I know I will be.
Thank you, Max.
Sportstrace.com if you want more info on Sportstrace. All right. Thanks a lot, Max. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Thanks. Man, he's awesome, man.
Great guy.
That is a great dude. I want to have a couple of beers with him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great guy. I've been in contact with him for a couple months now, and always a pleasure to speak with, and very helpful in my case as far as trying to build playing the field. A lot of great insight that he's given me, and it's great to have been connected with him for sure.
Yeah, but it's incredible story, man. Like he was like, you know what? Let me try to figure something out where it fixed my swing. And he says, wait a minute, I can, athletes can use this, and I think he's gonna do great. I really do, because these guys are they're so like analytical, repetitive, and they want to find every hitch and every swing. And I think especially watching Soto hit a rocket to Whitestone yesterday. I mean, I don't know. Really? Every athlete out there, whoever's out there, should go see Max and definitely sign up for this, because that's incredible.
Yes, absolutely. Sportstrace.com. Everybody, I'll post it up here for a second. So
yeah, you
can take it down. Also, in the description above or below, depending on where you're watching, the link is there as well. But thank Max for coming on. It was great having him on, and look to stay in touch with him. So, so last episode we started our NFL preview, and we attacked the NFC West. So today we will be starting with the AFC West and starting with the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. So
go ahead. I was going to say, I call it right now. They're winning 12, 13 games, man.
So, for a little bit of new news and notes. So Travis Kelsey has just signed a extension. What was his for? I didn't catch that one.
Kelsey signed for 4 years, $57 million.
Okay. So just under 15, right. 15 a year. And then his counterpart in the Super Bowl, George Kittle, he also signed a 5-year deal yesterday. So bunch of high paid tight ends in the last 2 days. They're rewriting the books, these guys. They're great talents, and they deserve the money. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Listen, Gronkowski started the trend with these, like, you got these hybrid tight ends. They're like wide receivers. They run 4.4, 4.5 40s. They're like 6'6", 6'7". They catch everything. So good for them. Yeah, they can make as much money as they want. Personally, I think Kelsey's a little better than Kittle. He just seems like
he's a little older, though.
Is he? But he's just more.
So, I mean, granted, he's still got years, but Kittle is like, what is he, 24, 25?
Yeah, something like that. He's a young guy, but Kelsey, he's just more experienced, more seasoned. Just the way he plays the game. Is he going to last 4 years? What did he sign? Kelsey signed what? 4 years, $57 million?
He'll slow down towards the end of it.
Yeah, maybe in the next couple of years.
You gotta lock him up though, because even for his veteran presence and being around whatever tight end that they end up passing the baton to and helping teach that tight end to play the game. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs is doing everything right. I mean, let's be real. Like, they locked up Mahomes, they locked up a defensive player, and they're locking up Kelsey for 4 years. I mean, they're not giving him Holmes 10 years and
they give him that kind of
dollars. But that's when you got something that's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you lock up your players.
Well, listen, if they're gonna have to sign the man Tyreek Hill. That is a bad man, and you got to pay him some serious money, man.
Yeah,
because you can't let a guy like that walk. I mean, he's running 4.240s.
He doesn't walk. He's the cheetah. Yeah.
He's running 4.240s out there during training camp. I mean, you're gonna have to give him 150, 200. God knows how, like 150, $200 million contract eventually. I mean, it's just you have to.
You don't give him his contract. He's gonna do his patented peace
yeah.
sign.
And you know where he can come? He can come to Jersey. He can come to the East Coast. He can come play with them.
We need a quarterback that can get it to him.
We got a quarterback.
Sammy is good. We need a head coach that can actually be worth a damn. But anyway, Kansas City Chiefs they're over under a set at 11.5. So I went through it and I got them just barely missing it. But there was one game that I was on the fence on, so it was right there. It's a good number by Vegas. I have them 11 or 12, really depending on one game. So they start off the season 4 weeks from today against Houston in Kansas City. Mind you, are they having 20% capacity there? Either way, they're not going to have that home field advantage that they're used to. So that's going to be a lot of the landscape of these teams that rely on that home field advantage. However, they are still the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's just go based on talent alone and no external factors. So Houston, I have them winning.
Yeah, dude, Houston was up 24 points on them last year in a playoff game, and they still lost by a lot. Chiefs all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bill O'Brien's the coach over there, so he'll screw it up. Chiefs all the way.
In Los Angeles against the Chargers, I have an easy win.
Yeah.
Then they go to Baltimore, and I gave Baltimore the edge on this one because they, of all the teams, they're the ones that can match up the best. And it was very tight last year. I think
they played in the rain last year, right? There was like a mud bowl that game last year, right?
The Chiefs ended up winning, I believe, but Lamar, that was probably Lamar's worst game.
Yeah,
of last year.
I like the Chiefs in this game. I mean, just the firepower. I just, until Lamar wins big games, but until he wins one against against Mahomes, big spot, I like the Chiefs. And that game is probably going to be prime time. I love Kansas City.
That is a Monday night game, correct? Yeah. Then New England comes to town. I have them winning that game.
100%.
The Raiders come to town. I have them winning that game.
Yeah.
They go to Buffalo. I'm giving this one to Buffalo.
Road game coming off 5-0. Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
Then they go to Denver. I'm giving them a win at Denver.
See, I keep thinking Denver's that sleeper team, but all right, I'll roll with that.
Yeah, I give. I mean that's one I could go either way on it as well. Then they have the Jets in town and then Carolina in town.
They're winning those two games.
Yeah. So if you're going with Denver, we're even there at 7-2 because I gave the Chiefs the win and you gave Denver.
Okay.
Then they have a bye in week 10.
Okay.
Then they go to Las Vegas. See, I gave it to the Raiders because, I don't know. It's just something about the Chiefs and the Raiders. They always have these ridiculous games, and I feel like the Raiders can take this one. However, it's a week after their bye week, and Andy Reid is pretty much unbeatable after the bye. So that's where my 12th win came in. It was really that Vegas game.
I'm going Chiefs all the way in that one. I think the Raiders are about a year away. They're still a little too young.
I still see them splitting this year.
And here's the other thing, right? You got Derek Carr quarterback, but if he gets off to a rough start or it's just not working with Gruden, you have Mariota backing him up. Mariota ain't leading him anywhere. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. If Mariota's starting that game against the Chiefs, it's over. That's it. It's done.
Well, yeah. If Mariota's starting the game, yeah, that's an easy Chiefs win. Then they go to Tampa Bay.
That's going to be a shootout, man. I like Tampa Bay in that game because of their defense.
Their defense, exactly. Two great coaches, too. Then Denver comes to town. I give them a win on that one. Then they go to Miami. I gave them a win on that one.
Yeah.
Then they go to New Orleans.
In the Dome, no fans. I like the Chiefs in that game. In the Dome, no fans. I like the Chiefs. I like it.
Okay. Well, I gave it to New Orleans. Then I have them ending it with 2 wins against Atlanta and the Chargers at home.
Yeah.
So you got them at 12-4. I got them at 11-5. Yeah, actually, no, you got them at 13 because you took New Orleans.
They're going to be unbeatable going into
the okay. So, we touched on the Raiders. So let's go with them. 7.5 is their over under.
Yeah, I think the Raiders will win 9 games. They're either going 8-8 or 9-7.
All right. So their first game is at Carolina.
Who's quarterback for Carolina? Who's going to be playing quarterback?
Teddy Bridgewater.
It's with Matt Rule's first start. I like Carolina in that game. It's a home game. I like Carolina. Plus, they got to travel, man. It's the travel.
I took Carolina. Yeah. Then the Saints come to town.
Yeah.
0-2.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints in that one.
Then they go to Foxborough.
You see, I have my doubts about New England, man. 8 guys out without Tom Brady. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah, I
just can't.
It's hard to judge the Patriots right now.
Yeah.
Because even when Brady was hurt a couple years ago and they had Matt Castle, they still managed to pull through. And, it's still Belichick over there. But, yes, the defensive players missing obviously hurt them on one of their strengths.
Right.
But Foxborough is a tough place to win at. But then again, we have the fan. It's a tough year because nothing is normal.
No,
it starts with Tom Brady leaving New England. I think he just really took this year by storm. He's like, all right, everything's going to be abnormal all year now. Okay.
I like 1 and 2.
I had New England there. Then Buffalo comes to town. I gave the Raiders the win there.
Yeah, that's a travel game. I like the Raiders in that one.
Then at Kansas City.
That's a loss.
Already gave them a loss there. Then they got a bye week. Then Tampa Bay comes to Vegas.
That could be a letdown game for Tampa Bay. But I'll go with the Bucs in that one.
I gave it to the Bucs too.
Yeah.
Then in Cleveland,
I can see him winning that game. I'll give it to him. Why not?
I gave it to the Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah.
In LA for the Chargers.
Oh, that's a win. Justin Herbert will be playing quarterback. That's a win. Chargers are going to be the worst team in the division.
You think so? Week 9?
Yeah. I mean, look, the Chargers are the weakest team in that division, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Yeah. The Chargers are ending in last place in that division.
Yeah.
Then we have versus Denver and versus the Chiefs in Vegas.
I'll give them a win against Denver and the loss against the Chiefs. What is that? 4-4?
Yeah, I gave him the win against the Chiefs there, but we're still even because you gave him a win against the Chargers. I gave the Chargers the win.
Yeah.
Then at Atlanta.
That's a good Atlanta. Gurley, Matt Ryan.
All right, I gave it to Atlanta. I didn't even give that one much thought.
Really?
It's Vegas to Atlanta. It's such a tricky thing with these West to East. Like I mean, after 10 years of betting on sports, it's like one thing I know. It's that West to East thing. It's like kryptonite.
Yeah, but I look, man. I have my doubts about Atlanta. I just do. I'm gonna roll with the Raiders on that one. I'll give them the upset.
At the Jets.
My beloved Jets are going to win that game.
I got the Jets winning that game too.
Yeah,
one of the few.
Yeah, well, we'll get to them last.
Yes, we're saving them for last because Then they meet. Phillip Rivers comes back into, not Oakland and Vegas this time.
Yeah, with the Colts.
Indy, yeah.
I'm taking the Raiders.
I gave that to Phillip Rivers because.
Wow.
Yeah, I gave it to Rivers.
Interesting.
And then Chargers come to Vegas.
I'm going with the Raiders. That's a win.
I gave that one to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Then Miami comes in.
Travel. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yep. Gave them to that too. And at Denver to end the season.
They're losing that game.
I gave them a loss on that game as well. Yeah. So I think you had maybe one or two more wins than me. That would bring them up to the 8.
Okay, so 500.
I have them at 6-10. You got them at 8-8.
Wow, you have that? You don't have that much faith in the Raiders, huh?
I mean, I gave them a win against the Chiefs.
That's going on the limb, man.
Yeah. Their schedule's pretty tough, especially like where they're going.
Yeah.
Not who's coming in, but where they have to go.
Well, they got to go to the AFC East. That's going to be tough, man.
Yeah.
That's the tough part. Buffalo, at Miami, at the Jets. So
can we go with your sleeper team next, or
yes,
go with the toilet bowl?
No, let's go with the Broncos, my sleeper team of the AFC West.
All right. Okay. So they're at 7.5. Everyone in the AFC West is 7.5 except for the Chiefs. So they started off. Tennessee comes to town.
Derrick Henry. Oh, that's a good one, man. I like the Broncos in that. I have this faith in Drew Lock. I have this faith in their receivers. I mean, they are loaded at wide receiver, man. Loaded. Jerry Jeudy, the kid at Penn State.
Agreed. I gave it to the Broncos as well against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Home opener. It was, and it's a Monday night prime time in Denver. I mean, that's a weird Monday night game, to be honest. Denver versus the Titans. Like usually they're like divisional games on those Monday night. That Monday night doubleheader to begin the season, but whatever.
Remember, the Titans went to the AFC Championship. It's all about showcasing Derrick Henry. But Melvin Gordon's playing for the Broncos, man. So let's not sleep on him either.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that one, and that's definitely going to help them. Then they go to Pittsburgh week 2. I have Big Ben winning that one.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
Then Tampa Bay comes to town.
I see Bradley Chubb and Von Miller lighting them up. I'll take the upset with the Broncos on that one.
Okay,
because those are two good defensive teams.
Yeah,
but
I pay on that one because it's Drew Lock versus Tom Brady. I mean,
yeah. But you also got to remember these guys have come from Tampa to Mile High.
Yeah, but you got to remember who's leading it. Like,
I get it.
Guys won in every stadium. Like,
but here's the thing: Tom Brady's not so successful in Denver. He always loses there. The guy he doesn't win there.
Yeah, but we were talking, Peyton Manning days. I mean,
All right, you know what?
There was a lot of Peyton Manning involved in that too.
I'm taking Denver.
Not just the altitude. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you got him 2-1. I got him 1-2.
Yeah.
Then the Jets come to town. Broncos.
My beloved Jets, as much as I want to pick them, as much as I want to pick them.
I want to pick them 16 times, man.
Yeah, I know. I'll take the Broncos in that one. That's a tough one.
Then at New England.
That's a win. I just don't see New England that good this year. I'll take the Broncos.
All right, I'm gonna have to look into New England a little bit more because I don't know that Foxborough thing. It's just it's too tough.
It's not going to be the same.
Then Miami comes to town.
It's a win.
Then Kansas City comes in. You gave that one to Broncos before.
Yeah, Broncos. I'm taking the upset.
All right. Then a bye. Then at Atlanta. You don't really like Atlanta, so you're probably giving them a win on that one, right?
Yeah, I'm going there.
Yeah, I think I'll change that one. Then at Vegas.
We gave that game to Vegas, right? Is that what I
did, yeah.
Did I take the Broncos? I can't remember.
I think. I mean, you're high on the Broncos.
Yeah, I took the Broncos. Jesus, yeah, I'll take the Broncos. Yeah.
Then Chargers come to town.
That's a win. Yeah.
New Orleans comes to town.
I like the Broncos. I don't know why. I just like the Broncos.
I gave that one to the Saints. At Kansas City, I gave them a loss on that one.
Yeah, we gave them a loss.
Yeah. At Carolina, I gave them a win on that.
That might be the one game where they have a letdown game or something. So I'll give that to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the West to East thing, but
I'll give it to
Carolina was the one that I could see it happening there.
Yeah.
Versus Buffalo in Denver.
That's a win.
I gave them a win. At the Chargers,
That's a win.
Gave them a loss.
I'm giving them a win.
Yeah. Then Vegas comes to town to end it.
Did we give the Raiders that win?
Yeah, I gave them that.
No, the Broncos should win that game.
Broncos easily on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have them at the over. I changed my mind on a couple of those, so they can definitely get to 8. It looks like they had like 9. I think you had them at 10.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the toilet bolts.
The toilet bolts. That's awful.
All right. So at Cincinnati.
Well, what's the over under again? What's the over under?
7.5.
Yeah. Then I can get close. At Cincinnati. Yeah, you got Joe Burrow starting at Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati.
Versus KC.
That's another L.
Versus Carolina.
That's another L.
At Tampa Bay.
0-4.
At New Orleans.
0-5.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. For all our viewers, you see where the trend here is, right?
Unfortunately, for week 6, the Jets go to Los Angeles.
I cannot see the Jets losing this game. I cannot see the Jets losing this game.
I know.
I can't see the Jets losing that game.
Okay. So I gave it to the Chargers only because that out of all 6 of those teams, the Jets were the easiest ones to beat. So you have them on 0-6.
Yeah, I got them 0-6. The Jets aren't losing that game.
Okay. At Miami.
Miami's 0-7, man. They're not beating Miami.
I had them at a loss there too.
Yeah.
Jacksonville in LA.
Jacksonville doesn't even have a quarterback. Who's the quarterback of that team right now? Is it Ryan? Is it
Minshew? Yeah.
I'll give them their win right. There's a W right there.
Yeah, I gave them a win.
Yeah.
Raiders in LA.
I think we gave that to the Raiders, right?
I gave it to the Chargers there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, when we did the Raiders, what did we say? The Raiders, that was a W.
Yeah, I double checked it when I was putting it in.
Oh, okay. All right. So I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's a loss.
Then a bye. Then at Denver.
That's a loss.
Loss. At Buffalo.
It's a loss.
Yeah. Versus New England.
That's a loss.
Yep. Atlanta to LA.
They might get the Chargers, so I'll give them that.
I got the Chargers.
I mean, yeah, they might get the Falcons. Excuse me.
Yeah. At Vegas, I gave that to the Raiders.
Yeah, we gave that to the Raiders.
Denver in town, but you have
I gave Denver.
So you like them even less than I. I was giving them something, and then they ended in Kansas City.
Yeah,
unless Kansas City pulls their entire team and then some.
Yeah,
or maybe just forfeits the game.
Yeah, they're not. Kansas City's not losing that game.
Yeah, exactly. So I have them at 5-11. I guess 4-12, and I'll give them the Jets game that they lose. But yeah, so you like them a lot less than I do, and I like the Chargers too, and I just can't see it.
And they got a good coach. Anthony Lynn's a good coach, man. You know, and Herbert's going to take a couple of years to develop. But my team of that out west is Denver, man. I can't wait to see them against Kansas City. It's going to be like that Rams-Chiefs game. It's going to be 40, 50 points on each side, and whoever's defense can stand up at the end is going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. So we attacked the NFC West and the AFC West. So what are we starting with next week? The North
Central. We'll do the Central next week, NFC and AFC Central.
North or South?
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking Central. North. It's
that's baseball.
Yeah, we'll start with the NFC North.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Some Packers, Vikings action. Nick Foles and the Bears.
Some Lions.
Yep. Lions and Tigers and Bears. Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Okay, so what do we got for news and notes tonight? Anything?
News and notes, real quick. Obviously, the contract signings.
Yep.
You know what else? What else is going on?
Soccer is transferring from their bubble back to their home clubs, and some stadiums want to let fans in with the prerequisite that everyone must wear a mask. And upon entering the gate, they need to sign a 1,400+ word waiver saying that they cannot sue if they catch COVID.
I mean, look, man, if people want to take that risk, go right ahead. But at this point, people are going to barbecues. People are, going out. I mean, people want to do it and take a chance, bro. Go ahead. But these leagues are smart to have them sign these liability forms because they don't want to get sued for this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, but I just if you're really worried about that, like, is it really worth it?
No, look, man, I don't think it's worth it.
If you have to draw up a 1,400 word waiver to avoid being sued, is it really worth the 20% of fans or 25% of fans that you're going to allow in there?
No, it ain't.
I get it. Like, they don't have the TV revenue that the other major sports has, and I get it. They want to make money, but it's a slippery slope. That's all I'm gonna say. So
yeah. And what about the
flag?
Yeah. What about Jerry Jones today saying there will be fans at Cowboys games?
Oh, did he? I missed.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, but I think a lot of this is just a political thing, man. I mean, I think if you're in the Northeast, if you're in the West, if you're up in the Great Lakes, I think people are saying no. But if you're in the South and the West, it's something different, man.
I completely agree. It's it's like my kids be like, no, you're not allowed to do that. I'll be like, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Exactly, man.
But it's almost like I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it's like they don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, it's they're going about it the wrong way. These stadiums. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like, we want to be going to games. We want to be, but
of course,
it's just we're not even fully safe in sending kids to school yet, and like we can't really risk it for a game. So
it's funny you mentioned that. It's true. We can't even figure out like testing. We can't figure out sending kids to school. We can't figure out anything, but we can find a way to cram 12, 15, 20,000 people into a stadium for a football game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to worry about that in New York or New Jersey.
No, we're good.
They said no. Well, I know MetLife said no, but I'm gonna assume that New Era Field up in Buffalo is a no as well.
Yeah, I don't think on the Northeast, I don't think Cuomo's letting anybody into the stadiums. He doesn't want to take that chance after what New York's been through the last.
But he invited every single MLB team to the state.
Yeah, but they're gonna play. They'll be in a bubble. There'll be no fans. It'll be secure. It's different. He's not putting 50,000 people in the stadium. That he's not doing.
No, but he's inviting the Marlins here. He's inviting the Cardinals here. We're gonna have one big party. Might as well invite all of Magic City here too.
Yeah.
No. What do we got? What else we got?
Oh, NBA ratings are down.
The NBA ratings are down. Yep, it's that's one drawback of the bubble. But to who it matters to, like the fact that basketball's being played, it's the people that really want to watch it are watching it. So let's. And they are also competing with the MLB and the NHL. So how do you really expect it to be where it was when you have everything else going on at the same time?
Well, I mean, but the NBA should always outdraw the NHL, man. I mean, there's no way that the NHL should have higher ratings than the NBA.
What about the MLB? I mean, the NBA doesn't really have to deal with. I mean, the NBA doesn't really even play in the summer,
right?
So
well, I mean, the playoffs
for them. This is new territory.
Well, look, I think it's a couple things.
The end of June. We're talking August now.
All right, but still, I mean, look, but it's a couple of things, right? I think watching the bubble games, like you miss the crowds. There, you can just sense that the same energy is not there, dude.
Exactly, and that's what. I mean, that's portrayed through the TV. I mean,
and I think the other thing, and again, not to beat a dead horse here, but it's also political. I think the NBA's lost a lot of fans because of their stance on social justice, and I think a lot of people have been turned off by that. Unfortunately, hate to say it, but some people get turned off by that, and they're not watching. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the same could be said for the NFL. A lot of people are saying they're not going to be watching the NFL.
And the NFL is gonna. I think the NFL is gonna have a down ratings year this year. Remember you got a presidential election coming up too, and all that going on. So I think this year is gonna just be one of those years for the NBA and the NFL.
It's a wash. Like this year, I'm starting to go back on on my word. I'm like, this is an asterisk year in other ways, not so much on the championship side. It's just like the sports side. Like it's not sports that we're used to.
No, I mean, I'm watching cardboard. They're putting Bernie Lomax in these cardboard cutouts at baseball games, man. Yeah. I mean, come on.
I know that was awesome. It was I thought it was the Dodgers, but it was the Royals. It was the Royals stadium there, and probably Patrick Mahomes is doing, for all we know.
Yeah, but listen, they're being creative. Like they're putting dogs and goats and Bernie Lomax, and they're putting other people out there. So the good thing is they're being creative with it. But it's just the vibe. You can just tell by watching it on TV, the vibe of the energy of the fan is missing, man. And that's what's really just kind of just sucks about watching sports right now.
You're almost better off listening to especially in my case, listening to a Mets game on the video and Howie Rose and and having him give you the play-by-play, because then you don't have to worry about not looking at empty seats or cardboard-filled seats.
Yeah.
So it still gives you that. It still gives you that experience of business as usual when you have Howie Rose like really, really going out there and giving it his all. So,
oh man, I just can't wait for them to come up with a vaccine, man. Once they get a vaccine, we're back in business.
Yeah, well, let's hope it comes out, and then we'll see. We'll see how things shape out with everything starting back up. With college football coming back, and then but I think that's it for news and notes.
We would like to thank our guest Max Montrey tonight coming on Sportstrace. He was awesome. Go check it out. If you want to work on your swing or your golf swing, baseball swing, whatever have you, go to sportstrace.com and check out Max and his crew.
Yeah, I need to get in touch with Max so I can get some kind of algorithms for.
If you're a fantasy football or fantasy basketball and baseball, hit up Max to get an algorithm set up.
Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy. Oh man. All right. Well,
all right, man. It was a good one.
Until next week, have a great weekend, everybody.